So, I am a bridesmaid for two weddings. One is local, Dallas, Texas, and the other is a destination wedding in Miami, Florida. They both are on the same day. To simplify things, I am calling the girls Dallas and Miami. Dallas is a childhood friend. We were also college roommates for a year. We don't see each other as often, but when we do, it's just like old times. So many memories. Dallas is also one of the nicest people in my life. Miami is a college friend, different friend group than Dallas. We grew closer after college. Miami actually plans my birthday every year. Our friend group is 6 girls, and we are so close. Like all girl friend groups, there is drama, but we always remain best friends. We all hang out all the time. All of my girlfriends from college are also bridesmaids for Miami. My husband is friends with their boyfriends/husbands, so he prefers this wedding by a mile. Miami told me her wedding date first at a group dinner, but did not put a deposit. I informed Dallas the next day, who then tells me she was planning for the same day. There isn't much overlap in the weddings as far as mutual friends. However, another girl and I are bridesmaids for both. After hearing this, Dallas tried to pick the week before Miami's wedding, but it ended up getting booked. So her only option was the same day as Miami, according to her. Dallas then put the deposit first. She then informed me and my other friend, since we're invited to both weddings as bridesmaids. My other friend tells her immediately she's going to Miami's wedding because they're childhood friends. So after that, Dallas is hoping I go to her wedding because my other friend already picked Miami's wedding. Also, since Dallas and I are childhood friends, I tell her over the phone that it was not easy, but I have to go to Miami's wedding because she asked first. Dallas is furious at me, to the point where she doesn't want to be friends anymore. Am I a jerk? She says she put the deposit first. Miami should change her wedding date. She can't just call that date without a deposit. I understand her frustration. 2 bridesmaids not coming. I said I will make it up to her if I'm still invited to anything wedding related. But she is so mad at me. Did I make the morally right decision? I would have major FOMO if I missed Miami's wedding. All my friends are there, and she asked me first. But Miami wouldn't end the friendship if I choose Dallas. They were also both bridesmaids for my own wedding last year. Edit. Dallas supposedly only had 2 dates available for her wedding because of her fiancé's busy schedule. One was the week before Miami's wedding. The other is the week of Miami's wedding. The wedding is over Labor Day weekend, 2025. Miami picked that date because so many people have to travel, and they will already have off due to the holiday weekend. Miami did not put a deposit because she is choosing between 2 venues on the same day. She is putting the deposit Tuesday after their parents agree with the venue she chose. She was just waiting for them to fly out and check it out. She assured me the date would not change. It was just hard to decide the venue because they had 2 great options. Yes, of course, Miami's wedding will be more fun. At the end of the day, I truly had to make a decision that was fair to both. If Dallas told me first, I know in my heart I would have picked her wedding. It's only fair. Using my younger brother's Reddit account. Edit 2. Dallas rarely goes to my events due to her being busy. I've never been offended. We're adults. We have responsibilities. She has a very big family. She comes to the big events like my wedding and bachelorette party. I always show up for her though. I always go to her events. But I'm serious. No bad blood in that regard. People just ask me to clarify. Dallas will have fewer bridesmaids. Miami will have more bridesmaids. Miami has more close friends. Dallas has a lot more people coming to her wedding because it's local. She has more people on her side coming than her fiancé's side because she has a big extended family. Miami has fewer people coming because it's a destination wedding. Her fiancé's side is also very big and local to Florida, so her fiancé's side will be a lot larger than her side. She is moving to Florida after the wedding. Edit 3. Miami was super appreciative that I'm going to her wedding when I told her earlier. I did mention that Dallas was upset, and Miami felt really bad about everything. She just texted me she wants to call me this afternoon. I think she's going to tell me to go to Dallas. Stay tuned. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Miami wouldn't end the friendship if I chose Dallas, says it all. Sounds like she understands that you're in a tough spot and will support your decision. She is a true friend to you, and this is why you want to be there to support her as a bridesmaid on her wedding day. Dallas sounds like she's more of a default friend. You were friends when you were children. You can still have fun together, but if you didn't know each other as kids, you probably wouldn't be that close or friends at all. Miami did ask first. Go with what feels right, not the jerk. Comment 2. Not the jerk. I totally get where Dallas is coming from, and she can, of course, be hurt and disappointed. But Miami asked first. You were committed there first. The deposit doesn't even make a difference. You said yes to Miami's wedding first. You are keeping your word. If I were Dallas, I'd be devastated. But also, if you were that crucial, I'd probably consider changing my date. However, I'd also be seeing that you were honest with me, and you stood by your commitments, and that's the kind of integrity I'd respect in my best friend. Now, for the update. Hey Reddit. It's been 3 months since my last post about being a bridesmaid for 2 weddings on the same day, and boy, do I have an update for you. Buckle up, because this has been a hectic ride. After my last post, things got even more complicated. Miami called me, just like she said she would, and she did the unexpected. She told me she understood if I wanted to go to Dallas's wedding instead. She was so gracious about it, but I could tell it hurt her. I was torn, but I had already given my word to Miami, and I couldn't back out now. Meanwhile, Dallas wasn't speaking to me. She had replaced me with another bridesmaid and was posting passive-aggressive stuff on social media. It was clear she was still really hurt, and I felt awful about it. I tried reaching out to her, but she wouldn't respond. Fast forward to a month before the weddings, and the drama intensified. One of Miami's bridesmaids dropped out last minute due to a family emergency. Miami was devastated. She had fewer bridesmaids to begin with, and now she was down another. I felt even more pressure to be there for her. But then, a twist. Dallas's fiancé reached out to me. He said Dallas was really missing our friendship, and that he wanted to help mend things between us. He suggested a secret plan to surprise Dallas on her wedding day. I was hesitant, but he was so sincere that I agreed to hear him out. The plan was crazy. He would arrange for a private jet to fly me from Miami to Dallas, right after Miami's ceremony. I would surprise Dallas at her reception, stay for a bit, and then fly back to Miami for the rest of the night. It was a logistical nightmare, but he was determined to make it happen. The day of the weddings arrived, and everything was a blur. I was at Miami's side as she said her vows, and the ceremony was beautiful. Then, as soon as it was over, I was whisked away to the airport. I felt like a secret agent on a mission. I arrived at Dallas's wedding just in time for the reception. When I walked in, the look on Dallas's face was priceless. She was in shock, then tears, and then we were hugging and laughing. It was an emotional reunion. I stayed for an hour, took some photos, and shared some laughs before I had to leave again. Back on the jet, I couldn't believe what had just happened. I made it back to Miami's reception, and she was over the moon that I'd managed to pull it off. We danced the night away, and it was a blast. Now, for the subtle justice you've been waiting for. Remember how Dallas was posting those passive-aggressive messages? Well, it turns out her new bridesmaid was the one who had been stirring the pot all along. She had been jealous of our friendship and saw an opportunity to drive a wedge between us. When Dallas found out, she was furious. She confronted her, and the bridesmaid ended up confessing and apologizing. Dallas and I have since patched things up. She's realized that friendships are more important than one day, and we've both learned a lot about communication and forgiveness. As for the bridesmaid who caused all the drama, she's no longer in our friend group. Dallas has seen her true colors, and she's not someone we want in our lives. Sister-in-law calls me a spoiled brat, but then my brother admits he never said that. I, 19-year-old female, had a baby girl 6 weeks ago. My fiancé and I decided to take some time off by ourselves to bond with our baby, and also so I could heal a little. Neither of our families have met our baby yet, so we decided to let them meet her this week. Our parents and my 2 older brothers came. One of them is married, his wife 32-year-old female, and he have 2 kids, 5 and 2. So I admit that especially the first week was super hard. I found it particularly difficult to find a comfortable position to nurse. My baby wouldn't latch correctly, it hurt, you name it. But now I got better at it. My fiancé and I are trying to teach our baby to take the bottle, just in case. But so far she hasn't shown any interest in it. She starts crying and refuses to nurse with a bottle, so I'm exclusively breastfeeding her. Well, all of this to say that when our families visited us, my sister-in-law started being very annoying about it. She kept telling me that the way I was holding my baby was wrong, the way I was laying her was wrong, that she shouldn't latch like that. All kinds of stuff which started adding up, and I was very annoyed at her during the visit. She asked me about pumping, and if I've tried, I said that I have to pump sometimes, but that usually either we drink the milk, which, by the way, she said was nasty, or that I would throw it into the sink, since my baby doesn't want to feed if it's not from my breast. She told me that is because I'm doing it wrong. She said I have to pump and force my baby to drink it by not giving in. Basically, let her be hungry until she uses the bottle. She said that she did that for her kids and that a bottle was best because my breasts will look bad afterwards if I let my baby breastfeed all the time. I told her that I won't do that since I won't let my baby go hungry. She said that she's helping since I know nothing, and I very clearly need the help because I'm a child with a child. Well, she had been annoying me all day and I snapped at her. I told her, who does she think she is? And that she's not a better mom just because she's older than me. That in fact, I think she's worse since she admitted to letting the kids go hungry. We got into an argument because she was very offended by what I said. Everyone was trying to calm us down, but then she said that my brother was right and that I was a spoiled brat who thinks I know better than anyone else. I was kind of shocked because that means that my brother is talking behind my back. So I got even more upset, and I told her that both of them are bitter, sad people. My fiancé then kicked them out. I've got some time to calm down now. So I'm wondering if I went too far. Maybe I should have said thanks to her advice and let it go. Perhaps my hormones and the lack of proper sleep are getting to me, and what I did was wrong. So I'm doing this post to hear some opinions. I'd rather talk about this with unbiased people. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Actually, you are doing nothing wrong, and what you told her is right. She was actually wrong with everything she told you. You don't force your baby by letting them go hungry. Your breasts will be fine. I have to think she is probably jealous. I would reach out to your brother if it's bothering you and talk to him. Also, tell him if they visit. No advice. You sound like you're on top of things and doing a great job. Don't ever let anyone talk to you like that again. That wasn't advice. That was insults, veiled as advice. Congratulations on your baby. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Not only is your sister-in-law's advice faulty and frankly ignorant, she also crossed the line from advice into criticism. It's she who owes you an apology. If you want to be the bigger person and smooth things over, let your brother and his wife know that you don't mind occasional advice, but not criticism or insistence that the advice be followed. You can let your sister-in-law know there are literally thousands of ways to be a good parent. Now for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a rough few days since then, and I've got quite the update for you all. So, after the big blowout with my sister-in-law, things cooled down for a bit. My fiancé and I spent some time discussing how we wanted to handle family visits moving forward, especially with my brother and his wife. We agreed that we needed to set some boundaries. But, as fate would have it, the drama was far from over. 2 days ago, my brother showed up at our door, unannounced and alone. He looked pretty upset, and I could tell he wanted to talk. He apologized for his wife's behavior and for the things she said. He admitted that he had vented to her about some family stuff, but he never called me a spoiled brat. He said it was a misunderstanding, that his words were twisted. I was skeptical, but I let him in. We talked for hours, and he shared some of his own struggles with parenting and how it's put a strain on his marriage. He confessed that he was actually a bit jealous of the bond my fiancé and I have with our baby girl. It was a moment I never expected, seeing this vulnerable side of my big brother. The next day, my sister-in-law sent me a long text. She apologized too, saying she was stressed out and took it out on me. She even offered to come over and help with the baby if I needed a break. It was a complete 180 from her previous attitude, and I was taken aback. I talked it over with my fiancé, and we decided to give her a chance. We invited her over the next day, thinking maybe we could start fresh. She came over, and things were actually going well. She was helpful, and even showed me a new way to burp the baby that seemed to work wonders. But then, the jaw-dropping moment happened. While she was holding my daughter, her phone buzzed with a message. She checked it, and her face went pale. She tried to hide it, but I saw the name on the screen. It was my ex-boyfriend's name. The same ex who had caused a lot of drama in our relationship before I met my fiancé. I couldn't believe it. My mind was racing with questions. Why was she in contact with him? What were they talking about? I felt a mix of anger and betrayal. I asked her about it, trying to keep my cool. She stammered, trying to come up with an explanation. Turns out, it was a huge misunderstanding. She explained that my ex had reached out to her a while back, asking for advice on dealing with a mutual friend's situation. She didn't think it was a big deal since they only talked once and it was nothing personal. She showed me the messages to prove it, and I could see it was innocent. But the damage was done. The trust was broken, and I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. My fiancé was just as shocked as I was, and we both agreed that we needed some time to process this. Mom starts dating a guy my age and neglects me. I cut her off, and now she's begging for my help. Oh boy. My dad passed away when I was 5 years old. It shouldn't come as a surprise that I was really close with my mother after him passing away. We were each other's close friend. My mom rarely went on dates, even though I asked her to, so it was just me and her. After high school, I was working at my security job while living at home. One day, I come home to my mom being involved with a guy, let's call him Jack. That seemed to be around my age. I officially met him a week later. He was revealed to be 22, I was 21 at the time, and apparently him and my mom were in a year-long relationship already. They were in the same MBA program. My mom and I were just practically roommates after that. She seemed too distant for the past year, which seemed to make sense why. But our relationship even further deteriorated. I'll admit I was overly reliant on my mother emotionally and financially, but both of them seemed to treat me like a hindrance that they needed to overcome. My mom would barely make any time with me, even though I lived with her. Jack seemed to look down on me due to my profession and the fact I was living with my mom. The wedding happened a year later. I only went out of respect for my mom, even though Jack and his loved ones treated me like a pariah. I moved out a month after their honeymoon. I rented a room with my mom, helping with expenses here and there. My mom got pregnant at 44 years old with twins. I tried as often as I could, but Jack watched me like a hawk. I overheard them talking about doing things right this time. I wanted to talk about how I feel about Jack with my mother. It was a bad idea because she dismissed how I felt and said she would always side with him due to him being her husband. After that argument, we didn't talk about it for 5 weeks. I got a call about how she misses me and hoped I would get over it. I decided to distance myself from my mom and improve my life. This time, my mother was the one calling once a week to talk to me. I was short but cordial. I rarely called, but only on occasions. I eventually went back to school and got a degree in computer science. I landed a nice, well-paying job 2 years ago. A week ago, I proposed to my fiancé. My mother asked if she could come visit us with her family. I said yes. She seemed super excited for me and asked me about when and where is the wedding. I told her it was in Hawaii. She joked about never going to a wedding before with tikis. I decided to be upfront with her, but I'm not sure if I am going to invite her and her family. She was in shock and asked why. I told her it would be a happy day for me, and I don't want her and her family to come, as I still have issues with them, and they would be a constant reminder of that. She said okay, and then sobbed in a way that I have never seen before. Jack found her crying and got her out of there with the kids. A couple of days later, I got a couple of relatives calling me an ungrateful son who doesn't care about his mother. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1, not the jerk. I like the irony of a 22-year-old sugar baby living with his sugar mama being scornful of the 22-year-old son living with his mom. Same situation except one is getting adult time. Maybe the 22-year-old boy toy was not a sugar baby. Plenty of guys that age making some coin. But it still seems pretty crazy to move in with a woman and then whine that her kids are hanging about. Comment 2, not the jerk. She never cried when she said she would choose her son's husband over you. She never cried when his family treated you like shoot at her wedding. Let her cry for the consequences of her actions and allowing his and his family's complete disrespect. Tell her you will choose your own future wife and happiness over her any day, just like she taught you. Now for the update. Hey everyone. Thanks for all the comments on my last post. It's been a busy week, and I've got some updates for you. So, after I told my mom I wasn't sure about inviting her to my wedding, things got pretty heated. My relatives were blowing up my phone, calling me all sorts of names. I tried to explain my side, but it was like talking to a brick wall. They just couldn't see how Jack and his attitude had driven a wedge between me and my mom. But here's where it gets interesting. My mom actually stood up for me. She called me 2 days after our last conversation, and for the first time in years, it felt like she was really listening. She said she understood why I felt the way I did, and that she was sorry for not seeing it sooner. I was floored. I mean, this was the woman who had taken Jack's side over mine for so long. She told me about how after my dad passed away, she felt lost and alone. She threw herself into her studies, and that's where she met Jack. He was charming, smart, and made her feel alive again. But she admitted that she got so caught up in this new love that she didn't realize how it was affecting me. Meanwhile, Jack had been on the defensive ever since my mom talked to him about what happened. He tried to reach out to me, but I wasn't ready to talk to him. I needed time to process everything. Then, out of the blue, my old security job buddy, who I hadn't seen since I moved out, reached out to me. He told me he'd seen Jack at a bar bragging about how he had upgraded his life by marrying my mom. That made my blood boil. It was like all the progress we'd made was slipping away. But before I could confront Jack, my mom called again. She was crying, and I could hear the twins in the background. She said she had something important to tell me. She and Jack had a huge fight after she defended me. She realized that he was trying to isolate her from everyone, including me. It was like she was finally seeing the real Jack. She told me she was leaving him. I couldn't believe it. My mom, who had always been so strong, was asking for my help. Of course, I said yes. I helped her find a lawyer and a place to stay. It was tough, seeing her go through this, but I was glad she was taking steps to get out of a bad situation. The confrontation with Jack was inevitable. He showed up at my place, unannounced, trying to convince me to talk my mom out of the divorce. He said he was doing everything for our family, but I saw right through him. I told him he needed to leave, and that I wouldn't let him manipulate us anymore. After Jack left, my mom and I had a long talk. We went over everything that had happened in the past few years. She apologized for not being there for me when I needed her the most, and I apologized for holding on to my resentment for so long. We started rebuilding our relationship, slowly. It wasn't easy, but it felt right. She even started coming to my computer science classes, showing a genuine interest in what I was doing. It was like we were making up for lost time. And then, just yesterday, my mom did something that completely took me by surprise. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a check, enough to cover the entire wedding in Hawaii. She said it was her way of making things right, of showing that she supported me and my future wife. I was speechless. After everything that had happened, this gesture meant the world to me. I hugged her, and for the first time in a long time, it felt like we were really family again. So, I've decided to invite her to the wedding. Just her, though. Jack and his family are out of the picture. My mom was overjoyed when I told her. She promised it would be just about celebrating my new life, no drama. As for my fiancé, she's been my rock through all of this. She encouraged me to give my mom a chance, and I'm glad I listened. We're both looking forward to having her there on our special day. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.